Coming up on show 767, a Tesla data leak as personal information from their customers finds its way onto eBay of all places. Stick around and I'll tell you more. Plus on the show today, Tesla applying for a license to become a UK electricity provider. Also, the Mercedes-Benz EQV, yeah, that's the van, has been spied. And how do you fancy buying a custom Tesla estate car for $200,000? Oh, and question of the week gets answered as well. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Here's what happened on Sunday, 3rd of May. My name is Martin Lee. I do go through every EV story that I can find to save you time. And once again today, dropping a few shows in a row because I'm just catching up the backlog after spending a week looking after some family things that I had to do. So we'll start with this enormous story about a Tesla data leak. And this is huge. And firstly, congratulations to Inside EVs for a great bit of proper journalism on this. It's taken them many weeks to put the story together, and this is coming via one of their readers and a white hat hacker. Now, he is often on Twitter talked about for finding bits of code in Tesla software. His name is Green the Only. I think it's a he. I think we talk about it. I think that's because he's contacted Inside EVs, and I presume that because they call him a he. On Twitter, though, could be anybody. Green the Only contacted Inside EVs to say that he'd bought 4 control units off of eBay and on them found personal data of people who used to own that car. Let me explain. Tesla is now retrofitting MCUs. That stands for Media Control Units. It's actually part of the dashboard. It makes the car work. Autopilot hardware as well. And a lot of the reason they're doing this is because many of the Model 3s and actually S's and X's as well sometimes need this replacement. Sometimes people that bought full self-driving, for instance, didn't get the new hardware 3, so that's being retrofitted. What happens is this has to be done by Tesla at one of their service centers. And so when they take out the old control unit, it has all of your information on, and according to Green the Only, he bought some control units from eBay that very clearly had people's home and work location stored on it, all of their saved Wi-Fi passwords, calendar entries from the phone, call lists, address books from any phones that were paired, Netflix and other stored session cookies, Spotify passwords stored in plain text. Oh dear. This is not a great look for Tesla. And what's happened here and how has it happened? Well, unfortunately, we don't know the full answer because as of me recording this podcast, Tesla haven't replied to Inside EVs despite request for comment. I don't think they will be as well. Their method of dealing with the media is often with bad news to ignore it. That's fair to say. I'm not being mean to Tesla. They have fabulous PR departments, by the way. I have great relationships with the PR people at Tesla. I can ask them a question, and often they'll come back with a simple answer if it's a simple question, and I don't tend to pester them too much. So I have never personally experienced this, but I can imagine there are some media organisations that are always, requesting comment for this and requesting comment for that. And what do you think of Elon doing this on Twitter? They just don't reply to everybody. So what's happened here? Well, this is, depending on where you live around the world, a pretty serious breach of personal data. Now, here in Europe, with GDPR data regulations, you certainly can't be sharing and leaking personal data onto the internet. It's a really, by the new laws that have been put in place here a couple of years ago, it's now a really serious offence. Things like the right to be forgotten, the right to privacy, and certainly if you have your personal data stored inside a computer that gets taken out of your Tesla and they put in an updated version, you would expect the old one to be wiped completely. But in the 4 cases that were bought from eBay, this hasn't happened. So what has happened here? Well, again, nobody quite knows the answer. These units should be either destroyed, or if they're going to be put on eBay, they should certainly be wiped. What's happening here? Well, you can purchase your old unit if you particularly want the unit that used to be in your car. I think it's about $1,000. They'll charge you and you can take the old one away. Not that there's much use for it, but maybe you want to do some testing, or maybe you've got plenty of money and it's sentimental. maybe? So you can purchase the old one that they take out of your car. However, I think you can anyway, and that's not 100%. However, what happens is the technicians take the old computers out of the Tesla and are meant to, wipe the data. They're certainly not meant to be putting things on eBay, making a little bit of money on the side. That's one suggestion that's been happening here, and certainly if that has been happening, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who'll be called into the office and getting a tap on the shoulder and been asking, what on earth is going on? Have technicians been selling computers to make a profit? Is that Tesla service centers take them out, they damage them, because some of the ones that are on eBay are slightly damaged, by the way, and then thrown away, and then so-called dumpster divers, in other words, people that go through the bins, actually have found these and put them on eBay, because there'd be nothing nefarious about this at all, apart from they just weren't destroyed to a good enough standard and they can be physically repaired. What is not good is that anybody's personal data has been put onto the internet, not in a way that you can just go buy it, but you can buy the computers and get the data off yourself. What's happened afterwards is all 4 owners whose personal data was discovered were contacted by Inside EVs and told what happened, and gave them an opportunity to give their side of the story, because, these could be 4 people that all paid $1,000 for their old unit, put it on eBay. They could have leaked their own data, but that didn't happen in this case. So they got a chance to respond, and then Inside EVs put the case to Tesla to say, what's the process? How do you handle old computers? Are you erasing them? Are you not destroying them? Are you putting them on eBay? Who is putting them online? And like I say, no reply at the moment. All of the data that was discovered from those 4 people has now been securely and completely deleted by Green the Only, and people were reassured to say that all of their data has now been completely wiped by him. It's a really bad look for Tesla, a company that does pride itself on privacy as well and security of the cars, and I'm sure they'll be looking into this. So in certain areas of the world, you can get in a lot of trouble for this. Like I say, big fines for companies that misplace data. It's not like their systems were hacked, as it were, by some sort of hacker sitting in their bedroom at home, but they did certainly have a data breach, in the purest sense of the term, that there was a breach of personal data. It ended up, intentionally or not, or otherwise, online. And this is an issue that is interesting to think about with EVs, because EVs are connected cars, and with connected cars, you inevitably have some of your personal data stored. In my own very little way, when I sold my last car, the app that I had my app on my phone connected to the car, and whenever I plugged the car in or unplugged it, I always got a text message, a notification, like a push message come through to say your car is plugged in, your car is full, etc. I thought I'd completely disconnected the car, and then I sold that car onto a car dealer, and a couple of weeks later I started getting notifications when the new owner was plugging it in. Or whoever it was, maybe it was still with the dealer or not, but I had to then go online and try and remove myself from the Renault systems and stuff. I thought I'd done that, but clearly my connection with the car was still there. It's an interesting thing to think about, how much of your personal data is on your car. I guess with Teslas, of course, because you have Netflix logins and Spotify logins, and you're pairing your phone, a fair amount of data. Big story today, and congratulations to the team there for doing some cracking journalism on that and uncovering an original story that I did see spread around all the EV blogs later in the day, as well as everyone reported that. Another big story today. Well, Tesla's applying for a license to become a UK electricity provider, and I don't know if they have these licenses around the world in other countries, but certainly in the UK. As I found out from Sky News and now Autoblog, Tesla's applied for a license to be the supplier of electricity in the United Kingdom. Now, the purpose of the license, says Autoblog, from the regulators may be to introduce Tesla's own platform, and the application at the moment doesn't make clear why they want to become an electricity provider to the grid. Tesla do have a piece of software, by the way, called AutoBidder. It's an automated energy trading platform, and it's currently being used in Australia for the big old battery that Tesla has there. So let's go to Electrek now for their description of what AutoBidder is. Well, Tesla has developed software to control energy assets, and AutoBidder has been used for a while now with Tesla, but we're only really learning about it. Being used in Australia at the Hornsdale Power Reserve, the Tesla Big Battery. And it is a way of trading energy. AutoBidder, says Tesla. It's on their website, by the way. If you go to tesla.com/support/AutoBidder. I've never seen this page before, but it's been online for a long time by the look of it. AutoBidder provides independent power producers, utilities, and capital partners the ability to anonymously monetize battery assets. AutoBidder is a real-time trading and control platform that provides value-based asset management and portfolio optimization, enabling owners and operators to configure operational strategies that maximize revenue according to their business objectives and risk preferences. Wowzers. That just sounds like a management consultant mumbo-jumbo there, but it all means something to people that understand all of these kind of things in terms of trading, forecasting, energy prices, forecasting the load on the grid as well, generation forecasting, so looking at the weather and how much is going to be generated, dispatch optimization, bidding for electricity. Smart bidding happens in different ways around the world. I'm no expert on that, but I do like to get my geek on and read about it and learn about these things. I find it fascinating. So maybe here in the UK, they want to use AutoBidder, this piece of software that is effectively a middleman, and it is trading energy between the generation, which I guess would be the Tesla solar panels on your roof and the roof tiles that maybe people can opt into this service, and then the end customers, which would be the big electricity providers in this country. Really, really super interesting. I'm fascinated to see where this goes. Been saying for a long time, Tesla is not a car company. And I think a few people scratch their heads when I say that. Tesla is not a car company. They make cars at the moment because that's enabling them the route to where they are going. They are, if anything, an energy company, an energy and a storage, but mainly energy company. Trust me, in 10 years' time, they'll be way more famous for the fact that they are basically an electricity provider through generation, but also through storage, and storing it in cars, storing it in battery packs and power packs, and also generating it with solar panels, and again using the cars in their fleet as energy stores and trading that energy. That's where they become next level. That's where they become oil company level, like God level companies. You know what I mean? Like they're just right up there. That's where the boards of Shell and BP are well aware of Tesla's plans, and I'm sure they have their own plans as well. Let's talk about a van that is really, really much needed. The Mercedes-Benz EQV. It's the van. It's a people carrier. Maybe it'll be used for taxis and airport shuttle runs. It's going to have a 100 kilowatt hour battery, and it's been seen on the streets of Stuttgart in Germany. And that means, well, it can't be far away. Market launch was meant to be spring 2020, but of course there is the virus to be thinking about. Now, the EQV, the van that's been shown off at motor shows, and lots of people have made YouTube videos about this, exactly what you would imagine from a big people carrier from Mercedes. They're going for 250 miles on this, from a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack and a peak output of 150 kilowatts. Nice fast charging on it as well. 11 kilowatt AC charging. This is going to be a very, very useful working vehicle. I'm sure there'll be lots of people that will want one because they've got, about 20 kids and need to ferry them to football practice on a Saturday morning. Speaking of which, Elon Musk, congratulations to him for becoming a father once again. He's got about 12 of them now, hasn't he? He's got tons of little things running around. So congratulations. Very, very happy for Elon posting some pictures of him being a new daddy on the internet. Right, final story, and a one-of-a-kind Model S estate car station wagon, if you want to call it that, is now online for sale. This is one of those cars. There's a few of these around the world. A Tesla Model S was had the back end chopped off and made into a station wagon. It's online for the cheap sum of $202,000. So you can either buy 2 Model S's brand new or buy one which has had the back end ripped off and is more of a utility vehicle now. Look, I used to have one of my favourite cars I owned was a Skoda Estate. Skoda Octavia VRS had Audi bits in the engine. It was the 1.8 turbo unit from Volkswagen Group that was a really rapid car. The one the police drive in this country as well. Loved that. But estate, we refurbished a house with that in the back with doors and skirting board and getting down all the rubbish to the dump afterwards as well. Just a great car. I would love another estate car. Just brilliant. However, if you would like this one-of-a-kind custom project and you've got a couple of 100,000 lying around, you can get what's called a Model SB. So there you go. That's the official name of it. Have a look online for the Model SB. Okay, let's get on to question of the week this week, and I would love to hear from you anytime on the podcast. But on the question of the week this week, we were asking you, what car do you own or have you owned over the years that you would love to electrify to full EV? Okay, here we go. Rajiv Narayan says, in the 1970s, we were expats in Zambia. My father was a plant manager at a copper cable manufacturing factory. At the time, we had a company car. It was a 1968 Mercedes-Benz 200D, a stately four-door sedan. It was very well built, a beautiful car. I have fond memories. I would love to see that as an EV. Cameron Hall says, I would convert my 1986 Toyota Celica GTS-I. Once owned, the S stood for the suspension, which was from the Supra. Jim Myers says, my 1962 E-Type Jag. I spun a rod bearing 2 weeks after I bought it and took 3 shops and 2 years to find someone who could rebuild the whole engine. I live in Washington State. I love driving the car. Victor Wood says, I would convert my old Toyota MR2 Roadster. Benjamin Ford says, I would convert my Peugeot Partner. While being a versatile vehicle for the family, it's cheap to buy. We had ours for 13 years before it became too expensive to repair. With a decent motor and battery, it would make a good vehicle for our needs. We love our Leaf. Hello to Mr. D. Watley, my 21-year-old 1999 Mercedes-Benz SLK 230. I love this car and didn't trade it in, but now it sits undriven since I bought my Model 3 in 2018. David Guerrero says, I drive a 2012 Audi A5 convertible. Bought it used with low miles. Will they ever build a convertible EV? Says David, I buy my cars lightly used. My next car will be an EV or a high-mileage plug-in hybrid. I can't afford to buy a brand new car that's electric that I like. My EV will be used unless I hit the lottery. Jim Partridge says, I answer the Citroen ID19. I currently stretched my budget and bought a Model 3 in September. I love all the electric parts, but I thought the Citroens always rode better. They were narrower. Definitely the ride, which he says he likes the inboard disc brakes, the seats, the packaging, the hydro pneumatic ride system, could be a great EV. Serverless Billy says, in 1984 in Indianapolis, I drove by the dealer with no intention or previous thought of buying a new car, and there stood, elevated above all the others, the car that he is thinking of. He was immediately hooked and bought the 1983 Chevy Camaro with T-tops in metallic blue. I was given the option to be, if this could be my electrified car, it would be. The car was unfortunately totaled by a drunk driver years later, and he cried like a baby. He says, R.I.P. my Chevy, and surely enjoyed his time with the car. It'd be great, wouldn't it, for more and more classic cars to be made into full electrics. Just wonderful. Hello to Philip Troutman, who says, this is the question of the week that I didn't have to think about for too long. I owned a Honda Element from 2005. We ended up giving it to our grandson. Despite having the aerodynamics and styling of a toaster, I loved that car. The utilitarian inside swallowed almost anything without getting destroyed. Rugged exterior panels. When I bought the car in 2005, I thought there was plenty of room for a battery and hoped for a future EV version one day. Now we are moving, and I miss the utility of the car. Honda stopped making it in 2011. Mark from Maine, USA says, my current car, a 2014 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. I wish that was full electric. I love the all-wheel drive and ground clearance. Not much of a hybrid with only a 7 kilowatt-hour battery, but an all-electric version of a Subaru Crosstrek would do him just fine. Well, thank you to everyone who took part in this week's Question of the Week, and I really enjoyed reading those as well. Got a few memories in my garage of cars that I've owned over the years that I would love to be full electric. And there's certainly a few that I've got a very fond place in my heart, and I wonder where those cars are now. I hope that the people that I sold them on to enjoyed them for many years and had as much fun in them as I did. I know that I did, just to mention the Skoda estate one final time, I did sell that to someone who liked to go surfing down in the West Country in Cornwall way. So I do know that that car at least went to someone whose plan was to stick a surfboard on the roof, put the seats down in the back, sleep in it, camp in it, and go surfing all day. And I'm pretty pleased the car went to someone like that, because it was a great little car. Okay, Question of the Week takes a break for 1 week because I am posting a few of these shows in one go because I'm catching up. And so there's no point doing that. You only have a half a week to get yours in. So Question of the Week taking a break. Back on Sunday the 10th of May. Well, thank you to all of my patrons of this podcast. You make this show happen. You keep the archive online. My premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group for Clean Tech Talent, Porsche of the Village, Cincinnati, and Audi of Cincinnati East. My partners as well. I do have to mention Mia Oppelstrup, who wanted to up her support for 1 month as well. Thank you, Mia. And just because, I was doing this work through lockdown, and she wanted to say thank you to you. Also, David Allen, long-time partner of the show, along with OEM Audio of New Zealand and evpower.co.nz. Of course, maybe shops might be closed, but online you can still go to their website. And actually, New Zealand have coped far better than most countries, so I hope you guys are okay down there. Paul O'Connor, thank you, Paul. TryEV.com, getting people in EVs as quick as they can. Gareth Hamer, eMobility Norway. Bob Boothby, EV-resource.com, and Mia as well. All of my exec producers too, I'll give you a little mention on Sunday because I love saying your name. Alan Robson, Alan Shed, Alex Banahini, Alexander Frank, Anders Hove, Andrea Jefferson, Asir, Khalid, Ashley Hill, Bjard Fuchstak, Brent Kingsford, Brian Thompson, Bruce Bohannon, Charles Hall, Chris Hopkins, Colin Hennessy, and Cams EV. Craig Coles, Craig Rogers, Damian Davis, Darren Bird, Darren Feach, Darren Sant from Yorkshire EVs, Dave Jewson, David Barkman, David Finch, David Partington, David Prescott, Derek Riley of the Dublin EV Owners Club, Don McAllister at screencastsonline.com, Enrico Stefanchillo, Eru Kyun Nyombi, Frederick Rovic, Free Jewel, who's James, Gene Rubin, Gilberto Rosado, Jeff Lowe, also Headley Wright, Ian Griffiths, Ian Sear, Ian Watty Watkins, Jack Oakley, James Storr, Jerry Allison, Jim Duggan, Jim Morris, John Bailey, John C. Solar, John Lacey, and Click Clack Video NZ. John, who is Beardy McBeardface at Kent EVs. John Lodell, Juan Gonzalez, Ken Morris, Kevin Masson, Carl Mahan, Lars Dallagher, Lawrence D. Allen, Lee Brown, Luke Cully, Marcel Lohman, Marcel Ward, Mark Bossett, Marlin Shell, Martin Croft, Dorset Tradesman, Marty Young, Matt Piccioni, Maz Shah, Michael and Luke Turrell, Michael Pastroni, Mike Rogers, Mike Winter, Nathan Gore Brown, Neil E. Roberts from Sussex EVs, Nigel Miles, Northern Explorers, Ohad Aston, Paul Ridings, Paul Stevenson, Perry Simpkins, Pete Glass, Pete Gorton, Peter and D. Roberts and Oxen EVs, Phil Mouchet, Pontus Kindblad, Raj Badwell, Rajiv Narayan, Ralph Jensen, Rene Schneider. Hello to Rob as well, who of course runs a driving school, can't work at the moment because of distancing, but I still want to say his name, appledriving.co.uk. Very important to support those kind of people who need to be, run their own business, need to be working as soon as possible, and when we can stop social distancing and you can be closer than 2 meters and take your driving lessons as well, give Rob a call. Rob Hermans, Robert Grace, Robin Tanner, Rupert Mitchell, Sari Kangasoja, Seiki Payne, Stephen Penn, Steve John, Thomas J. Tias, The Plug Seeker, and his EV YouTube channel, Tim Gutteridge, and William Langhorne. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you soon, and remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.